Welcome back everyone, time to do another comparison this time around between the newly released Samsung Galaxy S20 FE and the OnePlus Nord. Now the OnePlus Nord is, the newest, newer device I would say that OnePlus has released. It's the budget device. The OnePlus 8T should be coming out very soon, but the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE is that newer budget device that Samsung just came out with, and I feel like these two devices are probably going to be one of the biggest competitors in my opinion when it comes down to the budget devices, more so than even an iPhone SE2 versus the S20 FE, and especially the Pixel 4a versus the S20 FE. These two are around the same price, and even recently on Amazon, these two things are exactly the same price, and I actually think they're still $5.99 on Amazon, so you can pick up the OnePlus Nord or the Galaxy S20 FE as of right now for $5.99. And I'll leave those links linked down below in the description so you can get it from there and help support the channel at the same time. But prices fluctuate, so one may change, just keep that in mind. But they're only going to change to be lower, I think. Now, with both devices, they're both very similar. There's some differences as well. Now, with the OnePlus Nord, it has that 6.44-inch Fluid AMOLED display. You have 90 Hz on it, which is really, really cool. It's 1080p. It's definitely not like the best looking display, but it's actually not a bad 1080p panel. It looks pretty good. And I actually do kind of like how it kind of looks more like a OnePlus 8 in my opinion, with the flatter sides, with the curved sides, and I actually do like that. On top of that panel you also have a dual camera setup, which is very interesting. We don't normally see dual camera setups on the front camera of these devices, but in this case we actually do get that, which is really cool. Now with that 90 Hz, as all of you know, it refreshes the screens a little bit faster. It doesn't make the phone faster or anything, it just makes the phone look a little bit smoother, which is something that's really cool. And I actually don't think this panel is too bad. I actually thought it would look pretty good for the most part, but the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE has a 6.5-inch Super AMOLED display. Now this one is a little bit bigger, just by a little bit, but not really. I kind of feel like the OnePlus Nord is a little bit longer, but that may just be my eyes. Now you also have a hole punch display with only a single camera setup, but keep that in mind, I guess. If you want other camera setup, you can get the OnePlus Nord. Now this one is a flat display, so no curved edges, no nothing like that, so it's pretty much flat on the sides. Now the panel itself, I didn't think was bad. I actually think it's pretty good, but the only thing is that the sides aren't as curved as something like the OnePlus Nord. Now that may be something you care about, that may be something you don't care about. Me personally, I'm kind of in the middle. This one looks kind of like a Note device more than like a S device, so I don't know. The OnePlus Nord, I kind of like that effect with the Galaxy S20, so that's kind of one thing to keep in mind. Now another thing, both of them have fingerprint sensors in the display, but the Galaxy S20 FE actually has that 120 Hz refresh rate, which I think is really awesome. That is something that the OnePlus Nord does not have the capability of having, and I think when it comes down to it, that is something that is really awesome. Now the 90 Hz refresh rate on the OnePlus Nord is still perfectly fine for a lot of people, but I think the Galaxy S20 FE, by having that 120 Hz, is something that is really cool, and I actually really do like that for the most part. Now both of these have USB Type-C ports, which is really cool, and on the back they have a quadruple camera setup on the OnePlus Nord, but on the back of the Galaxy S20 FE, we have a triple camera setup, and I'll go ahead and hit on these right now. So the OnePlus Nord has a 48 megapixel wide angle lens, an 8 megapixel ultra wide sensor, a 5 megapixel depth sensor, and then a 2 megapixel macro lens, where the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE has a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 8 megapixel telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. Now definitely when it came down to it, neither of these cameras are the best cameras of 2020. I would definitely say probably the Galaxy S20 or the Note 20 Ultra have probably the better cameras of this year, but I still think, between both of these, they have a lot of capability between them. Now, a very important thing to keep in mind is that the OnePlus Nord, even though it looks like it has more camera sensors, I feel like more practical sensors, what I mean by that is, what you're going to use on an everyday basis, you're probably going to get that on the Galaxy S20 FE from a sheer capability standpoint. You do have that depth and macro lens, but I honestly don't know how many people are going to use those. The S20 FE has that ultra wide sensor as well as that telephoto lens, which if you use it, that's great. If you don't use it, it doesn't matter, but at least you have that capability of doing so. The OnePlus Nord does not have that capability, which is something that is very important to note, and that is just in the camera sensors themselves. Now actual quality, first of all, you can do 4K at 30 on both phones, but you can only do 4K at 60 on the Galaxy S20 FE. So that is another pretty big thing to keep in mind. It's not a deal breaker, but it is something that, you have that capability of doing on the S20 FE. Now, on top of that, I found that the softwares are kind of the same. They have a lot of features built in, and they're going to be getting better over time. But I still think with the Galaxy S20 FE, and it sounds like I'm hyping it up a lot, but that's not necessarily the case. It just happens that the camera sensor is better on this phone. You do kind of have a better looking sensors, in my opinion, on the S20 FE. I feel like the camera quality is better on this device too. It almost is kind of like a S20, I just don't think it's really that far off. Now the S20 I think is better still, but the S20 FE, it has a lot going for it, in my opinion, in the camera sensor, at least on the back camera, and I think it is a better camera sensor than the OnePlus Nord. Now on the front camera, they both have 32 megapixel wide angle lens, but the OnePlus Nord does have an 8 megapixel ultra wide sensor. They both can do 4K 60 on that front camera, which is very interesting because on the back camera of the OnePlus Nord, you can't even do 4K 60, so I don't know what they were thinking there, but I would still say, when it comes down to that camera setup, probably the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE is the winner. I feel like maybe the OnePlus Nord is kind of close, maybe not, but I would say when it comes down to the camera setup, the OnePlus Nord is a little bit behind than the Galaxy S20 FE. But that doesn't necessarily mean the S20 FE is the best phone or is the perfect phone in every category, and that is definitely the case in the software side of things. Now, they're both on Android 10. They're probably both going to get Android 11 at some point. But the one thing that's very important is in the software, first of all, these things, longevity-wise, are going to last for around the same time. I'm not going to say that the OnePlus Nord is going to last longer than the S20 FE. I don't really know. Samsung really did increase their software support lifecycle very, recently. So that's another big thing to keep in mind. But with the OnePlus Nord, I think you're going to be getting a better software experience on that device. You're going to be getting just better software overall. It's more stock. It doesn't require, a lot of resources in the background. Samsung Galaxy S20 FE is still using that One UI software, and it's still pretty bulky. It has a lot of little background processes and stuff that may be something that you care about and maybe something you don't care about. But like I said before, that is something that's kind of annoying. I've never liked that, and definitely when it comes down to the software side of things, I definitely do like the OnePlus Nord software than the Samsung Galaxy S20 FEs. Now, if you don't care, then that's totally different. But if you do care, the OnePlus Nord may be a better device for you. So in terms of the software standpoint, that really pretty much covers it up for the most part. Now, hitting on the performance side of things, both these devices are very interesting because you have a cheaper chipset on one device and you have a more expensive chipset on the other device. And another thing is that the RAM things are a little bit different on both too. So it's very interesting. The OnePlus Nord has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G chipset, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 620 GPU, and 6 gigs of RAM on that base model, 8 gigs of RAM on that mid-tier model, and then 12 gigs of RAM on that top-tier model, where the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 650 GPU, and 6 gigs of RAM on that bottom-tier model, 8 gigs of RAM on that mid-tier model, and then 8 gigs of RAM on that other mid-tier model with more storage. So here's the very important thing to keep in mind. The Galaxy S20 FE is going to be the faster device when it comes down to it. The OnePlus Nord is going to be slower, but you are going to be getting technically better RAM management from the OnePlus Nord than on the Galaxy S20 FE. So what that means is that, if you're playing games, if you're doing all sorts of those type of things, the Galaxy S20 FE theoretically, and in my experience, is going to be the faster device. It's going to be able to handle more things in the back. It's going to be able to play those games at a better frame rate, kind of feel better overall and less lag than the OnePlus Nord. But the other thing on the flip side is that if you're trying to keep a bunch of apps in the background, if you're comparing the top two models of these devices, you're going to be getting better RAM management on the OnePlus Nord. You're going to be able to keep more apps in the background. You're going to be able to, if you want to put an app in the background and multitask and all that stuff, less apps are going to close on you on a OnePlus Nord than the Galaxy S20 FE. So if you want to figure out which one you want, basically just determine do you have a lot of apps in the background that you use. If you're constantly, multitasking out of apps and split screen multitasking and stuff like that, you're going to be getting a better type of thing on the OnePlus Nord there than the S20 FE. But the S20 FE is going to be a faster device at the end of the day. So when it comes down to that, it's kind of like a flip-flop. Maybe I would prefer the S20 FE at the end of it, but the OnePlus Nord still has more RAM at the end of the day for that top-tier model. If you're looking at the bottom-tier model or the mid-tier models, obviously the S20 FE is the winner. Now, winning it off with the battery life, you have a 4,115 mAh battery on the OnePlus Nord and a 4,500 mAh battery on the Galaxy S20 FE. Now, in my opinion, I feel like the sheer battery life on both is going to be roughly about the same. I don't think one is really going to, outshine the other one. There may be some cases where some people may say the OnePlus Nord may be better because the software is more stock, and maybe I agree with you, but a humongous thing to keep in mind is that the OnePlus Nord does not have any wireless charging or reverse wireless charging. The reverse reverse wireless charging is perfectly fine, but no wireless charging, like that's pretty crazy. The Samsung Galaxy S20 FE not only has fast wireless charging, but it also has reverse wireless charging as well. And that is a very, very important thing to keep in mind on that device. When you buy a phone, you want to make sure it's, future-proofed as much as possible. And the OnePlus Nord doesn't have that capability. The Samsung Galaxy S20 FE does, which is very important. So in terms of battery life and battery features, the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE definitely wins there. Now to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you buy a OnePlus Nord or should you buy a Galaxy S20 FE? Now let me tell you some of the pros of the S20 FE. You're getting IP certification, which is really great. You're getting maybe a better looking display, but you're getting better refresh rate at that 120 Hz. You're getting, a pretty good build quality. The back is made out of plastic, but it's okay. They're kind of the same on both. You're getting a really good camera for a budget device, in my opinion. You're getting micro SD card slot support, which is really cool. You're getting an extremely fast device, extremely good battery life, and there's really not that much to hate on. With the OnePlus Nord, you're getting really good software, in my opinion. It's very smooth. It's very, minimalistic and everything. You're getting a decent camera setup for the most part. You're getting okay battery life. You're getting pretty good performance for the most part. Definitely not going to be extremely good, but it's going to be okay. And, you're getting a fingerprint sensor in the display, USB Type-C, those type of things. And when I say it like that, I kind of get more hyped about the S20 FE. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. It's definitely the more feature-packed phone. And the fact that it's about the same price as the OnePlus Nord is pretty insane to me, because when I compare these two, I definitely do think the S20 FE is a better device at the end of the day. I would rather pick that device up than the OnePlus Nord. I've bought both these devices and I can definitely tell you, I would rather have the Galaxy S20 FE than the OnePlus Nord. But if the OnePlus Nord is your only device that you can pick up, if you're buying it in the used market and if it's between these two, then yeah, it's not a bad phone at all. If the S20 FE was like a 10 out of 10, I think the OnePlus Nord would probably be like a 7 out of 10. It's missing the IP certification. It's missing expandable storage. It's not as fast as the S20 FE. The camera's not as good. But I still think the OnePlus Nord is good for the most part, but it's definitely not like a flagship kind of type of device as the S20 FE is, in my opinion. So that really pretty much covers it up for the most part. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.